Hello. Today I'm going to be doing the BookTube newbie tag, and this is not even my first video on YouTube because I didn't even realize this was a real thing. So super excited to hop into these 10 questions. I have got my laptop here and yeah, let's hop right in. The first question is, why did you start this channel? I've been wanting to create a YouTube channel for a while now, but honestly, I had been faced with so much imposter syndrome. I didn't really know what it was that I wanted to talk about, or if people would even care what I had to talk about once I actually found that thing, or if it would even be good. In my full-time work, I'm actually a digital product designer, and I've always been really curious with the various forms of storytelling. I also love reading, and I love recommending books to friends or family members, or really anyone who will listen for more than a minute or two. So I decided to give this a shot just because I figured it would be a really good intersection between the two, digital storytelling and my love for books. There's also a lot of new things here for me to learn, like scripting and video editing. These things are all really new to me and serve as a new creative outlet, which is actually really beneficial to me. I moved into a management position at work about a year ago, and I no longer am in a place where I'm actually producing things on a daily basis. So starting this channel is a way for me to get back to my own creativity and put my work out into the world. Since this is something that's so new to me and so outside of my wheelhouse, I have committed to keeping this up through at least the end of the year, so the end of 2022, and producing at least one video a week. So make sure that you subscribe for more book and reading content. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to BookTube? I really want to bring a light to books and authors that don't get a lot of attention or limelight, specifically authors who identify as women or as BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color. I also find that I do a lot of analysis on the way in which BIPOC characters are represented in TV and movies, and I'm really interested in doing the same for books. And lastly, bringing more diversity to BookTube, as I am a Black woman and I have a different perspective than some of the other booktubers out there. The third question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? And for me, there are so many things. First and foremost, I'm really interested in building a community here on BookTube with other like-minded individuals who really love and are passionate about reading and books and all things literature related. This is the perfect opportunity for me to express my love for books, and hopefully that's inspirational to other people who watch my videos. If I can make reading more appealing and exciting, then that to me is a success. I'm also really excited to use this as a place to celebrate women and BIPOC authors and spread their works to other people. Question number 4 is, when did you start reading? I've always had an affinity for books and for stories, and this is something that started when I was a child and has continued through adulthood. Question 5, what book or series got you into reading? I don't know that there was any one particular book, but some things that stand out from my childhood are the Raggedy Ann and Andy series. Ooh, there was a book that I really loved when I was a kid, and I remember rereading a million times over. It was called Screamy Mimi, and it's basically a story about a young girl who screams, and the adults around her obviously get a little bit annoyed, and they try to find another way for her to use her voice. And I won't give it away in case anyone has the desire to go and read this children's book, but it was one of my favorites, and I remember reading it so many times over when I was a child. I also read things like The Magic School Bus, Curious George, The Berenstain Bears. Gotta make sure I say that right. And when I got a little bit older, I started reading things like The Indian in the Cupboard. That was a favorite read of mine. I read it so many times over as a child. The Babysitter's Club. And then some things that were a little bit surprising for a kid to be reading. I remember really loving Agatha Christie. I read And Then There Were None so many times over. I actually only just recently found out the history of that title and, previous versions of it, which problematic, but I really loved reading that book as a child and was surprised I was even allowed to. Some other things that were really surprising for me to be able to read at that young age were things like A Series of Unfortunate Events, the Choose Your Own Adventure series, and one of my all-time faves that was a staple of my childhood reading, Goosebumps. I absolutely love this series, and I want to actually pick up all of the Goosebumps books and reread them now that I'm an adult and see if they're still as scary as they were. Looking back at this list, I realize now that some of these books that I read may actually be a contributing factor to me being terrified of horror films and TV shows. Comment down below and let me know if you read any of these books when you were a kid. I'm super curious if we have any overlap. Okay. Question number 6 is, why do you love reading? And this is a really easy answer for me. I love reading because books have gotten me through some hard times in my life, which is maybe a weird thing to say, but they've definitely expanded my worldview. They've changed my perspective on things. They have made me a softer person and have helped me to understand parts of myself that were previously a bit mysterious. Question 7. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Generally, I'm interested in knowing the advice that they wish they had when they were starting out on their channels and things that would have been beneficial to them when they were brand new. I'm curious about things like niching down. How do you find in this vast world of booktube what really resonates with you and what resonates with your audience? And with that, what do you do when the content that you want to produce is different from that which your audience really enjoys? And one last thing is how they approach things that they don't like. I've seen videos on BookTube kind of run the gamut of absolutely bashing this book to very tastefully disagreeing with certain parts or certain characters. And I'm curious what that balance is and how you become comfortable with it. Question number 8 is, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Coming into this space as a Black woman, I think there definitely are some more barriers that inherently come with that. I'm also thinking about how BIPOC are presented with fewer opportunities in general, whether that is exposure, speaking opportunities, or sponsorship, and wondering if those are things that might come my way. Being new in this space and having a desire to create community while also having the space to express my opinions, which might be unpopular, is another thing that I'm thinking about. BookTube seems like a pretty friendly place from what I've seen at least, and I just don't want to piss anyone off. Question number 9 is, where do you read? Primarily, I like to read in the space between working from home and living from home. I find that spending a little bit of time to read actually provides nice separation in my day. It very clearly demarcates work is done and now I get to start with my personal life. So I like to read right after work. Sometimes I will also read in bed before I go to sleep, but I have an offensively late bedtime, so that doesn't always help. And I also read when I'm on the subway, if I'm commuting someplace, and I almost always have a book with me. So if I have downtime where I need to wait somewhere, I will just pull out a book and read. And the last question is, what do you like to read? I like to read a lot of YA and fictional contemporary books, but unsurprisingly, also a lot of mystery and horror. If you remember my list from previous and the things that I've read when I was a kid, this should be no surprise. Those are all 10 questions for the BookTube newbie tag. I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to meet all of you. And like I said, I am committed to making videos at least once a week. So if you want to see more of those videos, be sure to subscribe here. And if you're curious about my very realistic March to be read list, you can check that video out right here. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.